What's going on, guys? Welcome back. If you're new to the channel, I'm Costa. This is 1-0, and the Premier League is starting soon, super soon. Tomorrow night, recording on a Friday. Tomorrow night, the Premier League is back. We've seen heaps of other YouTubers do this. The Premier League season predictions. Will Man United finish first? I'm a Man United fan. Will Liverpool get relegated? I don't know. But all I can say is that I'm keen. So sit back, grab a beer, grab a Coke, grab a chocolate sundae, and try not to laugh at me make my predictions. So to kick it off, we're starting off 20th position. We've got the newly promoted team, Scotty Parker's team, a young manager, got them promoted in the final. Brian scoring a cracking goal from like halfway. 20th position, I've got Fulham. Honestly, I don't believe the team's strong enough and it's quite Premier League worthy. I don't think that they might do all right. Mitrovic obviously had Premier League experience. Nice little cheeky fantasy guy there. But again, he didn't really impress when he was playing in the Premier League with Fulham. And I do just think that Fulham just not strong enough. Just not strong enough. Takes me to 19th position. Now, this one might shock a few. Jack Grealish's Aston Villa. Jack Grealish, obviously at this point so far, he's still at Aston Villa. He's getting his England call up. And I just don't see them staying up. I think they were quite lucky last year to stay up. I think Grealish is definitely holding them on their backs. But how much longer that can last, I'm not sure. I do think Villa could get, a couple of good wins here and there against maybe the top 10 teams. I think if Villa could be the one of the relegated teams, which I get incorrect. So we'll jump up to 19th, the third team to get relegated. And once again, it's a newly promoted side, West Brom. Because Slaven Bilic, former West Ham manager, back in. West Brom did have a good start in the Championship. They were on top of the ladder for a majority of the season until about Christmas time, just before December, where Leeds took advantage. And I don't know, West Brom, they've kept Pereira. They had him on loan from last year. But once again, they got a bad kit. Looks like a barcode. There's, once again, something with West Brom too. I just don't think they're at the standard where... just Premier League standard where they can just hold up for another season. I hope they prove me wrong. Would be all right. They used to have a good team back in the day. Rondon. They got Robson Kanu now. Had a good Euros with Wales. But yeah, for me, I don't see West Brom staying up. So that finishes it off with the relegated teams. So wrap it up: Fulham, Aston Villa, and West Brom. All three teams to get relegated. Now we'll jump up the team who just survives. And possibly a tiny bit controversial. I'm not too sure. I've watched a few, and this team has been similar position. I've got 17th position, Crystal Palace. Now, how much longer they got to stay in the Premier League? I don't know, because it always feels like they're close, but they still tend to stay up. Wilfred Zaha, I've got to be totally honest, I do feel sorry for him. I think he really needs a move. There's only so much more he can do at Palace. They've still got the likes of Christian Benteke playing up front, which he ain't got to score your goals, is he, lad? They've just got more. They signed Easy, the youngster, which apparently is meant to be a young player from QPR, which is a good signing there. Is it a signing that can keep him up? Possibly. But I think Crystal Palace will seriously struggle this season. Now, 16th, a very controversial team once again. Not in terms of ladder positioning, but in terms of the ownership. They were expected to get new owners. The likes of Mbappe were supposedly meant to go to Newcastle. The likes of Coutinho, doesn't look like it's going to happen. And instead, this team in 16th position, Newcastle United, I think they're in serious trouble, to be honest. Previously, I was talking to, usually we'll do this with a bunch of boys, but unfortunately in lockdown we can't. And originally I kind of had Newcastle in the relegation battle, to be honest. They've signed Callum Wilson from Bournemouth, obviously Fraser on a free. So two good signings. Fraser, to be honest, though, I think not as great as what people are saying. I think he's a good player, but last year was poor. He wanted to leave last year, so he possibly has a bit of an attitude on the bloke too. The season before, he was a gun. Obviously, that's when he made his name for himself. And Callum Wilson, I think they need a striker. Joe Linton isn't living up to his name. Isn't living up to that season he had in the Bundesliga, which made Newcastle spend their record signing fee on him. Callum Wilson, I think a good little player. I think he deserves to stay in the Premier League, and I think he'll score quite a few important goals for Newcastle. However, unfortunately, true Geordie, mate, not going to be a good season. I know you're probably watching this, but it's not going to be a good season for you. Takes me to 15th position, where if you're an OG of the channel, listening to us just purely on the Spotify days, Brighton watch. I've got Matty Ryan's team, the Aussie, 15th position, Brighton. Their kit, I don't know about the kit. I try not to take the kit too much into it. Rocking the Inter Miami kit. The kit is, I don't like it. It's not nice. It's got a bit of a collar. They look like they're on MasterChef or something. I don't know. Obviously, there's a sale of Aaron Moy to China, another fellow Aussie. Would have preferred to see him stay. But Brighton, I think the big thing for them is where do their goals come from. You've got Malpai up front, who have a good game here and there. Dunk, criminally underrated as a centre-back. He's not flashy, bit of a Connor Cody type, personally, for me. But, yeah, again, 15th, I think they would be happy with that. I had them getting relegated last season. So it will be interesting in the year to come how these teams have performed. We'll look back on it. I'll do another one of these videos, and Brighton possibly could get relegated or possibly being higher up, but I doubt it. Now, this takes me to 14th position. Now, I was watching a couple of these prediction videos on YouTube, and on West Ham, a lot of strife. A lot of strife. 14th is West Ham, if you didn't pick it already. They've got the likes of Suchek, who's David Moyes' Fellaini type, still for the fantasy. There's a bit of a tip. Premier League fantasy, Suchek. Antonio is still their striker. Haller has been terrible for them. But Antonio is so injury prone that can he do it for a full season? Probably not. He had a cracking end of the season, kept them up, arguably. But whether West Ham could stay up, I don't know. There's a lot of trouble. Obviously, they just sold one of their young prospects to West Brom for 18 mil, which in this current market is an absolute steal, daylight robbery. And Mark Noble came out and expressed his anger for that sale. It's not looking good at West Ham. It's not looking good. They made that up. The unnecessary, or arguably was it a necessary move to the new stadium? Financially, possibly yes. But from what reading articles, listening, no one wanted to move. Bowen Park had an unbelievable atmosphere, something that the new stadium doesn't have. So 14th, I've got West Ham. 13th position, I've got Sean Dyche's Burnley. A little bit of I don't know, I think Burnley just scream 13th to 10th. They're just a perfect mid-table team. Not brilliant football. They've got Tarkowski in midfield. In centre-back, great centre-back, I reckon. I think a former Man United player. I think it was on Man United ranks at a young age. But again, 13th. How much longer can their football stay? Sean Dyche is on the radar of a lot of clubs. And I kind of want this year to be his last season at Burnley, for him to take that next step, because don't really want him to take a long overdue stay at Burnley and just say, mate, Dyche, you're not furious anymore. Go and take that job. Go and live your life, mate. Go get a nice ginger beard. Your mum's your dad. You love it. So 13th position, Burnley. Now 12th position, one that shocked the Premier League last season. A little bit poor after the project restart. I've got Sheffield United. We often see with these promoted teams, they've got second-year blues. First season, they're all excited. I think, look, big fan of Chris Wilder, massive fan of him. I think he's a great gaffer. But, yeah, I think it's just the second season sort of thing. They were very, very poor near the end of the season after the lockdown, as I just said. And I don't know. I think they'll do all right. 12th is still good for Sheffield. I think if you ask Sheffield fans, that this year was probably a great anomaly in regards to their season. But I think 12th they'll be happy with teams only getting stronger. I think 12th for Chris Wilder's men will be a fair result. Strikers, possibly Ollie McBurney was doing quite well last season. Possibly an area where they need to focus on again. But I think 12th for Sheffield, I think should be fairly safe. This takes me to one of the teams I'm personally very excited to see. In 11th spot, we've got Leeds United, making their long-awaited return to the Premier League under Bielsa, who cannot wait to watch in the Prem. Yeah, obviously, I watched a little bit of him in the Championship last season with Leeds when it was coming to the near end of the season. And his character, he's been linked to the likes of Pochettino in the tactic-wise, to Guardiola, which is in the character, Mourinho, similar character. I think he's got the same sort of passion for the game as Klopp, as what we see on the touchlines. And he just doesn't take shit, to be honest. Excuse my French. But Bielsa, I can't wait to watch him. I do believe, though, 11th, it's a little bit risky because they played unbelievable football last season, but quite similar to what Norwich played last season in the season where they got promoted. And Norwich, we saw they started well with Pookie time, as we all remember, but obviously finished last, and the attacking sense just didn't work. I think Daniel Farke for Norwich was a little bit hesitant to say, you know what, we need to change the football because we're in the Premier League now. So which I hope Bielsa kind of goes, don't change it because you're in the Prem and you just want to stay up for survival. Continue to play this exciting football. However, if you do start losing, they've got Liverpool in the first round. So if you do start realising that every single passage of play, they're just getting down the attack, down the attack, down the attack. Halfway through the season, you might have to look at yourself and say, you know what, we do maybe need to change it. But once again, super excited to see. They've signed Rodrigo, the Spanish striker. I think good little signing. Patrick Bamford, from my research, is Bielsa's little golden child. He never got dropped last season, even though his form wasn't great. Pablo Hernandez, the Spaniard. I'm really looking forward to seeing Leeds. Really looking forward to them. They're in 11th position. Obviously, reignites the Leeds-Manchester United rivalry, so it'll be good to watch. Keen for this season. This takes me to 10th position now. It gets to the pointy end of the table. It's a little bit, who's coming in, Costa? Tell me, who is it? Who? Tell me who, Costa. So far, if you're still watching now, make sure you like and subscribe. Go subscribe. My goal at the end of the year was 500 subscribers. Not really on track, but how'd you like the apples? Go subscribe. Leave it in your comments who you would have from 20 to the 10th position. Now, 10th position, someone who really has proven that he can be one of the best strikers in the world for this club. Danny Ings. Southampton in 10th position. Unbelievable football in the second half of the season after lockdown. Really surprised a lot of people. They've signed Kyle Walker-Peters. They had him on loan. They've signed him on a permanent deal from Tottenham now. Shea Adams, I think second season in the Premier League. He was a very, very hyped up last season. Couldn't really live up to it, but once again, he started well in after lockdown. Danny Ings, can he keep on firing goals? I think he's a perfect Southampton player. 10th is quite a big jump. It's quite a big jump. Obviously, they've got to be in the likes in front of the teams such as Leeds and Sheffield. So Southampton probably do need to get off on a right start. They've got a fairly decent fixture to start the season. So I am excited to see Southampton and how they go. I think Southampton will have a good season. I've got Ward-Prowse in my fantasy team. And with fantasy, introduce a little bit of a segment into the podcast, hopefully when we can get a bunch of boys back on, or girls, because we know girls want to come on this too. Southampton, I got high hopes for Southampton. Come on, you Hammers. They're not called the Hammers, the Southamptoners. Now, 9th position, the top nine. If you're enjoying, thank you. If you're still here, thank you. Top 9, I've got Everton. Now, I did want to put them a little bit higher, but from 8 and above, there's a lot of teams, even from 9 and above, there's a lot of teams you go, that could probably go there, that could probably go here, that could probably go there, or they could probably go there. Everton obviously signed James Rodriguez, signed Allen, signed Doucouré. So pretty much a total new look midfield. Keep in mind, they've still got a Sigurdsson. They've still got a Tom Davies. And look, I think, once again, Everton are just such a team where every year, I remember a couple of years ago, they signed Klaassen, who had a good season at a good World Cup with Netherlands. They signed a lot more players. Obviously Richarlison, still only 23, 24. Calvert-Lewin, they're playing the two up front. But I think the big factor for me is Carlo Ancelotti. He's got a full season now with Everton, if things go well. He's brought in Allen, who he coached at Napoli, who's a criminally underrated holding midfielder. He's brought in James Rodriguez, who I hope, just for footballing sense, he gets his career back on form. We all know his talent with Colombia. And I hope James Rodriguez can. Just imagine playing the balls into Richarlison, into Calvert-Lewin. I think this means that now Richarlison can have a bit more of a field day. Started the season last year, he was unbelievable. I think people forget how good he was, that Barcelona wanted to sign him for 80 mil. So I do think that maybe now with the solid midfield in behind him, I think Doucouré also, obviously Watford got relegated, but there was a bunch of good little players from these relegated teams. Jamal Lewis signed for Newcastle. There's a bunch of the good little players from these relegated teams, which I'm glad are getting the opportunity to come up and prove their worth again. And to be honest, in the midfield of James Rodriguez, you'd assume in the 10 position with Allen and Doucouré behind, it screams quite a bit of talent. But can James Rodriguez live up to his form again? Can Allen prove his worth in the Premier League? I'm very, very, very excited to see Everton, but I think Carlo Ancelotti is flying under the radar, and it's a team like Everton with a coach like Carlo Ancelotti, which is huge, very huge. Defense still a little bit worrying. I think defense still needs a bit of a shake-up. But look, I think Everton in ninth position, I don't think they'd be too upset with that. Now this takes us to eighth position, and this is when it gets juicy. It gets real juicy, like be young, mate. Eighth position, I've got Leicester City. Now, their second half of the season, again after lockdown, was very, very poor. They blew the top 4 spot. They're obviously playing in Europe this year, which they didn't last season. Is it unfair to judge teams on the post lockdown? Possibly, but you just got to go. Can only beat what's in front of you. So Leicester in 8th position. They haven't really strengthened. They did lose Chilwell. They signed a Castagne left back, so into him, but how well he is not too sure. Jamie Vardy is getting on to 33 years old, signed a 3-year contract, and I just think, look, with the possibility of playing in Europe for an extended period of time, if they do progress through past the group stages, and with teams just getting better and better, which we'll touch on, I don't see Leicester really challenging for the top 4 at all throughout the season. And even maybe the top 5. I think Everton and Leicester could even possibly do a little bit of a switcheroo with the 9th and 8th position. But the team who I originally did have in 8th, but I moved up to 7th because I'm being a little bit harsh, is Wolverhampton Wanderers. That's it, the Wanderers, a.k.a. Portugal national team. Signed Fabio Silva, who's a gun on Football Manager, as we all know. Broke their record fee, which I think was a crucial signing because I was talking to Senior, the boy who it was on the podcast a few times, hopefully get back on soon during after lockdown. And we were saying that Jimenez, once he's down, there's no one there to fill in that striker position. Could be a big role if, touch wood, something happens to Jimenez early on and Silva has to play out the whole season. He is 18 years old and not a lot of experience. Obviously played a lot for Porto, but not a lot of experience. So I think it's a good signing for the future. But for Wolves this season, I don't know, similar to last season, I think. I think maybe the novelty might start slowing down. I think teams might start to like the option of going to a different club and really challenging for top 4. I take Jimenez at Man United. I think he's a lethal striker, lethal weapon. Still got João Moutinho in there, Ruben Neves. They signed Vitinha, another Portuguese winger, Diego Jota. So they've got a lot of players and a lot of top-class players. But the loss of Doherty, which was quite big to Spurs, quite big, I think could impact the way they play. I think you might see Adama Traore come back more into that right wing-back position now, bursting runs through. And Connor Cody, good for England. But I'm going to stick to Wolves in 7th position. 6th position, we've got Jose Mourinho, who deserves his own movie, deserves his own documentary. If you haven't been watching the Tottenham documentary, I've seen little clips here and there, and it looks amazing. But 6th position, I think it's fair. The thing worrying for me for Tottenham is the lack of work in the transfer market, even though they did sign Doherty. But I don't know. I think they're a midfielder away from really challenging again. I think a backup striker is quite necessary for them. We know Harry Kane tends to get injured quite a few times throughout the season here and there. And again, it's Jose Mourinho football. Has it outdated? Did it really work in Man United? Leave it in the comments below. How would you rate his season at Man United? How would you rate Mourinho's end of the season when he signed for Tottenham? But I think, I think 6th might be fair. It could change to 5th position. And to talk about 5th position, we got the other London team, Arsenal. The team who are banging out beautiful kits. Unbelievable. The third kit, boy oh boy, wowee. How'd you like them apples? Third kit is a thing of beauty. But last season I was a little bit, you hear Arteta ball, and I was a little bit, all right, let's see what he can do. They won the FA Cup. Aubameyang signs a contract, which I think was crucial for them to get done before the season started. They've got quite a favourable fixture also, Fulham in the first game. And look, I think I'm a strong believer in Arteta ball now. They've kind of hooked me in Arsenal, and if I was an Arsenal supporter, I'd be quite excited. Obviously, the signing of Saliba and Gabriel, two young centre backs, which Arsenal fans were screaming out for a long time, and how well they can be straight away, who knows? For the future, though, I think brilliant signings. Gabriel established himself in the League One already. Saliba obviously played in the League One, and look, I think midfield though is where they lack still. I think Xhaka, Guendouzi, what's happening to Ozil, don't know. I know on account strictly Arsenal, go follow them if you want. Ozil was played in the friendly game a couple of days ago. So who knows what's going to happen there. I do want to see Eddie Nketiah play a little bit more minutes up front. But yeah, overall, I'm a bit of a believer. I don't mind Arsenal. I think they be a lot more competitive and teams might start taking them a little bit more seriously than what we have previous years because they used to suck. Now, this takes us into the top 4. It gets juicy. This is where people start to cause riots, where subscribers start to go down or subscribers start to go up. Top 4 is where the legends are made. Now, in 4th position, arguably quite controversial, I've got Chelsea Football Club. Now, I know I can hear you. Stop. I can hear you. I can hear you screaming at me. Costa, what are you talking about? Yes, they've done unbelievably well in the transfer window. Havertz, Ziyech, Chilwell, Thiago Silva, Timo Werner. Great signings. Brilliant signings. But one thing that I'm quite nervous for is these are players where if Timo Werner isn't bagging in goals, they've got to go back to Tammy Abraham, who isn't bad, but they're kind of back at square one. Obviously it's Werner's first season in the Premier League, so it takes a while for players to fit in. Ziyech, he was great for Ajax, especially in the Champions League run. But again, how does this? I don't know. Look, Chilwell's obviously injured for a couple of weeks. I read that Thiago Silva won't be playing in the first game because he hasn't trained with Chelsea yet. But look, I wouldn't be if they finish 3rd or 2nd. I would not be surprised. The only thing is, I'm just nervous for, the signings they made, unbelievable. But I don't know. Chelsea. This season was tough. This season's tough to predict. Very tough to predict. But it also leads to a Frank Lampard. What does this mean for him? Because last season he didn't have a transfer window. There's no pressure. I personally believe he exceeded everyone's expectations. Now he's come in, bought a lot of new players in critical positions where their midfield is stacked now. They've got the likes of Jorginho and Kovacic, who might not even get a lot of game time. Likes of Mason Mount, who could just be sitting on the bench for a majority of the time. So now he does have the pressure of, I've got to need to get results. And his 4th position, a good result considering they finished there this season? I don't know. I'll let you guys be the judges of that. That's what I was looking for. So now, look, I'm sorry. First of all, I just want to say I'm sorry. 3rd position. Liverpool. Now I know once again I can hear you screaming. As they say, I'm a big WWE fan. As they say, the hunt to the title is a lot more fun and you're a lot more hungry as opposed to when you've got that title. Because then you get to start to get a little bit boring. People want to see fresh faces. I'm not saying Liverpool are going to be bad. And you also might be thinking, Costa, we know which team you go for and you haven't said their name yet. I know, but just listen. I think Liverpool needed to make a couple signings in regards to depth. I think still if, they're starting to slowly get rid of a bit of dead wood like Lovren. But I do think another midfielder could have been beneficial. How long can Milner stay up there and play well? There is rumours of Wijnaldum leaving to Barcelona. Look, Salah, can he keep on firing? I'm not saying Liverpool are going to be bad. I think they've got to have a great season. I think they've got to demolish teams. But I just think they've won they've gone from winning the Champions League, they've won the Premier League. Is that hunger still there? And to be honest, I've kind of fallen for the trap that I hate in saying that, of course, you want to win games, you want to win titles. But I think the team who will win it will be a lot more hungrier. And yeah, look, I think Liverpool will still do well in the Champions League. They've got to progress through. They're still going to have so much of a fear factor, especially if I'm not too sure what it's like in England right now, but I know they are got to allow staggered fans to come in. But yeah, tiny bit controversial. I could look back onto this in the years to come and say, Gosto, you're an absolute donut. And when I get a few of the boys back on the podcast, I'll be showing them my ladder predictions. And I know one person will go, Gosto, you're an absolute donut. Which then leads me to second position. And this second position, actually, no, scrap that. The Premier League 2021 season winners will be from Manchester and Manchester City. Yeah, I think Manchester City are hungry, disappointing Champions League run where I think that it was really theirs to win, possibly, except for the likes of Bayern Munich. And they've strengthened the defence with Nathan Ake. Is he exactly the man who they would have wanted? Maybe not. I think Koulibaly, if he's still there, Man City should snap him up. They've signed Torres also on the right, who I don't think will have a massive impact coming in. My only concern for Man City is Aguero. I do believe this could be his last season. But Gabriel Jesus, when do we start talking about Gabriel Jesus, mate? Has he really lived up to his form? I know he's still young, 23, 24. But I don't know if he's really the man Guardiola wanted to hold that number 9 position. Is he the immediate successor for Aguero? Can he keep on bagging in the 20-plus goals as Aguero does? I'm not too sure. Obviously, the loss of Sane, but he wasn't really there. He was obviously injured last year, so he didn't really play much. And Kevin De Bruyne, I think Kevin De Bruyne will just Ballon d'Or contention next season. That's my prediction. I think De Bruyne will put his name out for Ballon d'Or and say, this is mine to win. Which then, I know you got to go, Costa, what the truck are you saying? I want Manchester United in second position. Call me biased, call me an idiot, call me deluded, call me a donut. I'm just excited to see. I think we still need defense. Sancho, the deal, obviously, as of right now, isn't completed. Obviously, the sign of Donny van de Beek is one that is very, very exciting because the midfield now, we've got Bruno, who's got to have a full preseason. He's got to have a full start of the season. I don't think there's ever been a mid-season signing that has changed the competition as much as he did. He's with the likes of a fit Pogba, with Rashford, with Martial, hopefully, fingers crossed, a Sancho on the right, even a Greenwood to come and play the 9 because I do think he's a natural striker. I don't know. I think Man United's got to be hungry. I'm still not totally convinced. I could look back on the ladder and go, Costa, what were you thinking? But yeah, I've got Man United second. I've got Man City taking home the trophy. Liverpool third. Chelsea fourth. It's got to be an exciting season. Got to wrap it up. That's my season predictions. If you do enjoy these videos, please let me know. If you enjoyed and you want more podcasts, you want to stick around for the season upcoming, make sure you subscribe. My goal is 500 subscribers, so please share it, do whatever you want, like it, comment who you think's got to win it. We've been 1-0. I've been 1-0 because I'm alone. Thanks for watching. Catch ya.